from a win-loss standpoint, this weekend was disappointing. But walking away from the weekend, knowing where we were at in previous weeks, we definitely made a big jump in our progress. The kids did a great job last week preparing for Illinois State. Obviously, we knew exactly what we were going to get, much like they did. But we went back to a lot of basics in our preparation for Illinois State, especially from an offensive standpoint. And we saw a lot of bright spots in our offense this last weekend, going up against the reigning pitcher of the year last year. And she wasn't pitcher of the year; she was first team all conference, and really handled her very well the whole entire weekend. And it was basically based on our approach. At times, we could definitely see us go backwards, and go back to maybe a comfort zone or bad habits in pressure situations where we had opportunities to either break the game open or have big scoring opportunities. And then late in the games, saw us kind of press and go back to those bad habits, which is understandable. And this week, I think this week's preparation, spring break, having one thing to think about, and that's getting better and playing softball, will help that progression even more going into this weekend against Loyola. But we scored a lot of runs. We did a lot of really good things offensively. We still need to shore up our pitching situation, whether it's Chelsea or Alyssa or Sam Bells. Not really sure exactly how we're going to handle that yet. This week we tried something a little new and went doubleheader with Chelsea on the mound both games, kind of the same way we used to do with Jamie Fisher, especially against Illinois State. We knew tough team in the league. It was going to be a big series. Whether it's the first weekend or the last weekend, it was going to mean a lot. And so we wanted to go with what was our best at this point in the year. And we learned a lot. We learned that, Chelsea needs to get in better shape if she wants to be able to do that 2 games in a row. She got tired in the 5th inning, and that's kind of where things happened in Game 2. Did a phenomenal job, 7 innings, and then another 3 or 4 innings, and then things kind of fell apart for her. And then in Game 3, we started her again on Sunday and just wasn't as sharp, and that's not something that you want to have going into one of the best hitting teams in the league in Illinois State with the wind blowing out. And she left a couple balls over the middle of the plate. They took advantage of it, and we played from behind all game long, and I was very impressed with how our team answered back. And that was one thing that was a major focus for us, is whether we get up or down, we got to continue to put our foot in the gas and keep getting after it. And we kept scoring every inning. We'd score 1, they'd score 2, we'd score 2, they'd score 3 or 4, and it was just an uphill battle, but they never quit. And that was the best part of the weekend for me going forward, is knowing that we've got one of those tough series out of our way against Illinois State. We know you can still win a conference championship even if you get swept on a weekend. You can lose a series and still do what we want to do. It was a great learning experience, and we've just got forward progress to go from here. But I was impressed at our preparation, number one, how we took it to the field for the most part. This week is to continue that progress with the fundamentals and make sure that we're believing in them when it comes to crunch time, whether it's a clutch at bat or whether it's late in the game and we need something to happen, that we're not going away from it in those situations. And that's our next step, and that's what we're looking forward to this weekend. Going to Loyola, not sure about the weather situation there. I think their field may be still in question a little bit. Our field's ready to go, just out there this morning. So if we need to move it here, we can definitely do that. But I think this week, being out on our own field, getting back into a routine of being outside and getting that home field feel back will be huge for our team, not only in development physically, but a mental standpoint as well. So, any questions?
When does that decision get made if the games come here?
We'll talk tomorrow and just kind of get a feel for what their field's like. I know they have a couple other situations or facilities that we might be able to move to in the Chicago area, the Rosemont Dome being one, the Bandits facility right there in Rosemont as well are viable options for them, much like the Dome is for us. So I think that will be plan B and C, and then if it gets to the point where we get to kind of be on the back end of what we did most of last year, which is go to other people's parks and basically pay for them to come here. Just we'll do whatever we got to do, but we definitely have an option in Cedar Falls, so that's a great thing. Probably I'd say Wednesday would be the cutoff day for that decision.
And what kind of years Loyola have?
I think a lot like ours, a little up and down. They've got a couple of good young pitchers. Offensively, I think they're very scary. They've got a lot of talent. I don't think the numbers show it as much. I think maybe they're just a little inconsistent, but they've got some really good hitters in the middle of their lineup. But I think right now where we're at, I think it's a really good matchup. I think it'll be a great competition. It's not one-sided in any aspect of the game. It's just going to come down to who wants it more and competing, and that's where we need to be right now, and getting ourselves ready for those meaningful series down at the end of the road.
You mentioned you're still kind of jockeying with the pitching situation. What about the position players? Are you pretty well set lineup-wise there, or are there still some battles going on for playing time?
I think we're pretty set. We've got a couple right field, Michaela Martin, Sammy Olson. They've kind of been platooning, kind of waiting for one of them to push my hand and force me to do something there. But really, we haven't gotten anything bad from either one of them. It's just a matter of one of them needs to step up and produce for us, and they'll solidify themselves in that spot in the lineup and on our defense. Both of them in the outfield makes us our best outfield, but right now we're looking for some run production and making sure we can get that is our main priority right now. Macy Wolf has stepped up for us offensively. She would probably be our number 4 outfielder, so that's an option that we might look at going forward, getting her out there and maybe trying to get another bat in the lineup some other way. But as far as the middle of our field, Anna Variano behind the plate, Winnick and Hunter in the middle, and KK, Michaela Rettinger in center field, very set. Kennedy Bailey at first base, our freshman, has definitely solidified herself there. Ricky Alcaraz, our number 2 hitter on our team right now, solidified herself at third base, and Kristen Locke has done a tremendous job just from a maturity standpoint for us in left field and being a leader in the middle of our order. We know what we're going to get out of those kids, and I think that's the basic right now is, from our pitching standpoint, is what are we going to get? We know what we're going to get from those kids in the lineup and defensively, so it's an easy decision for us as coaches, and like I tell them, they forced our hand. They forced our hand to do that by how they've played and how they've practiced and how they've approached the game. We need to get the same from our pitchers. Right now it's a question mark. We don't know, and so we're trying to figure out how we're going to manage that, whereas it'd be a lot easier if they just go out there and do what we know they can do, and we can just roll them out there. But right now it's 50-50. We're trying to figure out who works best in what situation, who's better out of the bullpen, who gives us a better start. But it's the 3, 4, and 5 innings right now that are killing us. We'll get a good start, and then we'll let off the gas and let somebody answer us and put ourselves in a bad situation. Or we're going 0-0, tight ball game, and then something happens and the wheels fall off, and we can't get somebody out there fast enough, or and they put our offense in a spot right now where we're not ready for coming back from 5 or 6 runs down. We need to compete for that. We can play from 2 or 3 right now and still have a lot of confidence, but we get to that 6 and 7. We haven't scored 7 runs in a game in a long time. So, from a pitching standpoint, we know we got to keep us between 3 and 4, 5 at the most, and let our offense work.